and welcome to this special Global Weather Enterprise Forum video podcast on GFDRR's new publication entitled Charting a Course for Sustainable Hydrometeorological Networks in Developing Countries, a report that builds on the knowledge of more than 30 public, private and academic sector experts drawn from across the entire global weather enterprise. Hydrological and meteorological processes shape the natural environment and have a profound impact on how well people live. Floods, droughts and extreme weather disrupt social and economic development and must be dealt with within the framework of a changing climate. The World Bank's development agenda is intimately linked, therefore, to hydrological and meteorological monitoring and forecasting to anticipate threats and opportunities posed by the environment. Application of this knowledge can ameliorate risks by protecting the vulnerable and reducing exposure. This knowledge depends on the ability to accurately predict the impact of hydrological, weather and climate events, which in turn requires observations of the entire Earth system, from space, land and sea. Albeit highly beneficial, installing and maintaining surface-based hydrological and meteorological observational networks is a costly undertaking for many low and middle-income countries, and one that is often underfunded and neglected. Data gaps grow, and the quality of critical forecast declines or is never achieved, and the adverse impact on national development is palpable. The report aims to help nations and development partners design fit-for-purpose networks. It explores the root causes of why national meteorological and hydrological systems fall into disrepair, even after being modernized, and shares a visionary approach to achieve more sustainable outcomes. Part 1 provides the context and vision. Parts 2 and 3 delve into the more technical aspects of meteorological and hydrological networks, offering guidance and recommendations on their design and sustainable operations. It builds on successful outcomes in higher income nations, which not only offer insights for many low-income countries, but also help development agencies integrate the principles and conditions of success into the design of their own development projects. The report's vision for sustainable meteorological and hydrological observation networks is that weather, climate and hydrological observation networks are built to last. They're designed to be fit for purpose and fit for national budgets. They're maintained through effective institutional arrangements and long-term financial and capacity development commitments, thereby contributing to the sustained delivery of high-quality meteorological and hydrological services for the benefit of the whole of society. Large portions of national meteorological and hydrological services operating budgets are dedicated to supporting observation systems and data management functions. Knowing the total expected costs of an observation network over its life cycle is critical to deciding affordability. Operation and maintenance costs, including the cost of spare parts, are typically larger than initial procurement costs over the life cycle of the observation systems. While observation networks are largely influenced by user needs and applications, so-called fit for purpose, priorities for network expansion or modernization must be aligned to national funds available to support them over their entire lifetime, so-called fit for budget. And it is the total cost of ownership assessment that informs a government's decisions over the expected life cycle of the network components. A key theme that runs through parts 2 and 3 of the report is the issue of the sustainability of observational networks, which is inherently linked to how they are financed. Understanding the affordability requires a formulation of the total cost of ownership and life cycle costing in the decision, procurement and operation of observational networks and their components. Regardless of the maturity of the procurement policy, the total cost of ownership is an essential tool for determining what an observation system really costs the organization, beyond the initial capital acquisition and implementation phase. The total cost of ownership can also shed light on network design and operation, and can help managers, owners and development partners make better decisions about the current state of a meteorological or hydrological network, its sustainability and its suitability for the evolving services supported. At a minimum, the total cost of ownership and life cycle costing should be used to identify and anticipate the question of sustainability at the design stage, and this information should be shared with key financial decision makers, setting an example for broader reform. Benchmarking costs and practices against other national meteorological and hydrological services or other organizations that are successful in sustaining hydromet observation networks aids in informing the total cost of ownership. Benchmarking provides a strong basis for governments, on which to effectively plan and set national budgets that are based on realistic financial and human resources costs, along with the best management estimates of the costs over the life cycle of the observation infrastructure. For that reason, the report examines the hydrological networks of 3 countries, Germany, Canada and the United States, and the meteorological networks of 5 countries, Australia, Austria, Canada, Germany and the United Kingdom, to benchmark costs for operations, maintenance and replacement. These countries were chosen because they have a good track record of maintaining and sustaining their network operations over the long term. Overall, the performance and operating costs among sample benchmark countries are very similar, providing some confidence on the estimated costs of supporting sustainable network operations. Uptimes for meteorological systems are generally above 95%. Investment and capital costs for meteorological stations range from $56,000 for AWSs to $2.5 million to $4 million for radar systems. For hydrometric stations, the range is $28,000 to $45,000. The operating costs, without labour, for meteorological stations show the scope of national budgets required over the observational instrument system lifecycle, ranging from $6,200 for an AWS to $200,000 for an upper air station. For hydrometric stations, these costs range from $4,000 to $15,700. Staffing costs add considerably to the total operating costs. Annualized replacement or reinvestment costs range from $5,600 for an AWS to $230,000 for a radar system. For hydrometric systems, these costs are about $5,500 to $9,000. The report shows that while many hydromet development projects are well intended, it is often difficult for national governments to maintain the observational infrastructure beyond the early years of operations. National budgets will need to be increased to support upper air stations and radar operations, along with hydrological systems. As the issue of sustaining networks over their life cycle is often a consequence of insufficient budget or lack of technical capabilities, adopting the most appropriate business models that fit with national circumstances may offer some added advantages. The key questions to ask are: what business model best reflects the national circumstances? What is the internal and external third-party capacity to deliver? Who are the consumers? What is the market potential? What value can be created? How can it be done cost-effectively? There are 4 primary business models to choose from, based on level of financial risk and readiness capacity. Government owns and operates its own networks. Government owns its observation networks and outsources its maintenance. Government contracts to third-party service providers who own, operate and maintain observation networks. And public-public or public-private partnership arrangements to cooperate and maintain observational networks. A key component of fit-for-purpose and fit-for-budget network design is leveraging partnering opportunities to share costs and further stretch capacity and capabilities. A system of systems approach entails a holistic view of network design and management, garnering contributions from other network and data contributors, leveraging what exists to fill gaps, enabling partnerships, and co-designing, co-managing and co-producing networks. In summary, the report recommends the following actions. Create a roadmap for the observational network based on country context and data requirements, including a long-term financial plan. Prepare a financial plan that includes the total cost of ownership of the components of the network. Consider the most appropriate business model for network operations. Outsourcing may be advantageous. Consider innovative financing schemes. Perhaps a public-private initiative to share costs and make data widely available to different users. Prioritize building human capacity in all aspects of management, operations, maintenance and planning. Work with education and training establishments to build necessary skills. Consider building partnerships at every level. This could include the beneficiaries of hydromet services that can provide additional data, including municipalities, other government agencies, the private sector and academia that may provide targeted or tailored hydromet services. The report concludes that a key step in building resilience to natural hazards and climate change is to optimize investments in sustainable meteorological and hydrological observation, with a focus on networks that are built to last and deliver global, national and local goods. Thanks for watching.